वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देवा सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा गुरु ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Team Param Vedanta extends a warm welcome for the 56th session of Gift Gita for Inner Freedom and Transformation. Having completed 10th chapter titled Vibhuti Yoga, now we are entering the 11th chapter, which is called Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga. And the word Yoga coming at the end of every chapter refers to the topic. This chapter deals with Vishwarupa Darshanam. Vishwarupa Darshanam means the vision of the Lord as Vishwarupa. Rupam means a form and Vishwa means the universe. And Vishwarupa means the Lord whose very form is the universe itself. And if you want Nitya Ishvara Sambandha, an Ishvara who never comes and goes, but who is ever part of your life, you should have Vishwarupa Ishvara Darshanam. And it is brought about by a change of perspective caused by the assimilation of the teaching of this chapter. In today's session, we cover verses 1 to 5, and we have with us Dr. Ravi Shankar, Dr. Ashwini Divakar, Dr. Srinivas Nuti, Srimati Anjali Shankar, and Dr. Rajeshwari explaining today's verses. We are indeed fortunate to have Dr. Ravi Shankar, a great Karma Yogi with profound Shastric knowledge, moderating today's session. He will introduce us to the topic and provide us deeper insights, facilitating manana after Shravana of each of the verse. Over to you, sir.
Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Athava Bahunetaina Kim Jnatena Tavarjuna Vishtabhyahamidam Kritsna Ekanshe Nastito Jagat. The last verse of the 10th chapter has a significance before we start the 11th chapter. The Bhashya goes as Bhagavato Vibhutaya Uktaha Tatracha Vishtabhyahamidam Krishna Ekamshena Sthito Jagat. Iti Bhagavataha Abhihitam Shrutva Yad Jagadatmarupam Adhyam Aishwaryam Tat Sakshat Karchum Ichan. In the Purusha Sukta, there is a part of that verse which goes as Padosya Vishwa Bhutani Tripadasyam Vratam Divi. There is a difference between all the verses of the Vibhuti Yoga and this 42nd verse of the Vibhuti Yoga. Madhusudana Saraswati ji says that the Sampurna Bhuta, which is in the Pada, and all the other Amrita Mangala is the three Padas. This is the Shruti Vacha. To explain this, the entire Purusha, 1/4 is all the Bhutas, the Vibhutis, and 3/4 is the rest of the Purusha, which is truth as Sat, being as Chit, and bliss as being Ananda. So there is a difference in this particular verse which changes the whole picture from the Vibhutis. Antaryami Varnanam is now changing to the Adhishthana Varnanam or the Adhara Varnanam. To explain and understand this, we have container, we know it has space. There are huge containers and it has space. But this container now we notice is in space. So we have a broader picture of space not being contained, but the container itself in space. This is the Antaryami Varnana. The word Jagatam Atma has the Samasa Jagatatma. And the supporter of the entire universe is the Adhara. The universe itself becomes the Adhyam. He is the Atma. So he becomes the Atma. Now, to understand a little more of the Adhisthana, when we mention that a book is on a table, the table is the Adhisthana for the book. But then there are two objects. Advaita cannot have two objects. Hence, we should understand the Adhisthana Varnanam as water in ocean. Water does not support the ocean, neither is ocean supporting the water, but they are one and the same in different Nama Rupa. So everything is Bhagwan. Krishna is very clear about it, but Arjuna says, intellectually, I understand this. Emotionally, I'm not able to practice this. And to remove this intellectual, emotional, split personality, Arjuna's desire is tat sakshat kartum ichanaha. And hence begins the 11th chapter of Vishwarupa Darshana. Arjuna is now mentioning in this particular verse, Madanugrahaya paramam guhyamadhyatma sangnitam Yatvayoktam vachastena mohoyam vigato mama. Swami Paramarthanandaji is so beautifully explaining this beginning of the 11th chapter as Dasha Adhyaya Saraha, whether it is the skill of Arjuna or Vyasachara being not very significant. The point is that by now, by this verse, 10 adhyayas of the Bhagavad Gita Sara is right here. We are aware and remember that chapter 1 to 6 is the Tvam Padartha Pradhana Jivatma explanation. The 7th chapter begins the Tat Padartha Pradhana, the Paramatma Swarupa Varnanam. And we know through Tattva Bodha that Stula Sukshma Karana Sharira Vyatirikta Avasthatraya Sakshi Panchakosha Vilakshana Satchit Ananda Swarupa is Jivatma. This Atma Anatma Viveka has been explained in the first 6 chapters quite clearly. Swami Paramarthanandaji tells us with these specific examples in his explanation of the Bhashyas that Panchakosha Viveka and Atma Anatma Viveka has been the essence of the topics, and he has picked up some of these verses, which I would just present to you in a few words. Indriyani paranyahurindriyanebhya param manah. Panchakosha Viveka is clearly understood as Atma being the Sakshi. Karmanya karma yasya pashyeda karman. We are aware of that very beautiful inaction in action, action in action in this verse. Yasya sarve samarambha kama sankalpa varjita jnanagni dagdhi karmakam tamahu panditam buddha. So everywhere in these examples, Atma is clearly highlighted as the Akarta. Anatma, body is the Karta. So the Dehi Deha Viveka, the Panchakosha Atma Viveka has been highlighted amongst various chapters in the first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. Continuing the same, Sarva Karmani Manasa Samyaste Sukham Vashi, Navadware Pure Dehi. The body-mind complex is the Navadwara. Jivatma is the resident of that body. And Naiva Kurvan Nakaryan. Jivatma doesn't do anything and there is no karya that it does. Sarva Bhutas Tatmanam Sarva Bhutani Chatmani. This Chaitanya Atma is the same in all the bodies, but the body-mind complex is different. So all these examples that Swamiji has highlighted explains the Tvam Padartha Lakshyartha. The Jiva Swarupa is revealed by separating the Jivatma from the Paramatma. The Bhashya of this first verse of the 11th chapter. Madanugrahayahya mama anugrahartam paramam niratishayam guhyam gopyam adhyatma samnitam Atma anatma viveka vishayam yat tvaya uktam vacha vakyam tena te vachasa mohayam vigata mama aviveka buddhi apagata ityartha. So clearly, Arjuna is mentioning that for my anugrah, for blessing me, for saving me from this samsar, O Krishna, you have given me the greatest teaching, which is and this is a Paravidya, which is the most superior. And this is Guhyam, Gohpyam, something to be kept as a secret because the one who is not uh, Adhikari will not understand it. And if we tell the Adhikari and tell others, it is as good as keeping a secret. Adhyatma Samnitam. This is not material science, this is a spiritual teaching. And so he says, O Krishna, you have told me all this. Now, Bhagwan's beautiful Sharira body itself, because of this Atma Anatma Viveka, we have understood is Anatma. Paramam, Guhyam, Adhyatma Samnitam are all adjectives to the word Vacha. Tena is Tvavachasa, by your own words, not glorifying the Lord Krishna there, but acknowledging the teaching. Arjuna is mentioning, I was in that state of Jivitena va kim prayojanam. What is the purpose of this life? Why am I living? I might as well die. And that karpanya dosha upahata swabhava, that swabhava, oh Krishna, that intense confusion is gone, says Arjuna. Aviveka buddhi, which is moha, is now gone. And so Shankaracharya in his Bhashya brings out this very important point. All this while we have understood the first six chapters as highlighting and bringing about not only Atma and Atma Viveka, but highlighting Karma Yoga. And now Arjuna is saying that I have Atma and Atma Viveka taught by you. I have understood Atma and Atma Viveka. Why is he not mentioning about a word about Karma Yoga? What is this difference? And so Swami Paramarthanandaji again brings out a couple of verses from the first six chapters, which we are familiar with, but I would like to just highlight. Karmanye vadikaraste, then Niyatam kuru karmatvam karma jayo hyakarmanaha. The other two verses also, they highlight that the Karma Yoga is the Sara of the fifth chapter. Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti yaha. All these are examples of highlighting how Karma Yoga has to be done. So, what is the Sara of Gita, of the first six chapters? Is it Karma Yoga or is it Jnana Yoga? And we always have understood that Bhagavad Pada Shankaracharya says that Samuchaya Vada is not possible. So Shankaracharya says, Arjuna mentioning Adhyatma Samnitam, Atma Anatma Viveka only is very clear that Gita is the summary of the Vedanta. Karma Yoga has already been taught to us in the Veda Purva Bhaga, and Gita, being a part of the Prasthanatraya, is not to mention and teach us Karma Yoga, but it is Karma Yoga Tatparyam Nasti Anuvadatvat Apurvata Abhavat. There is a abhava of the of this whole essence. That's what the Mimamsa people say. And Apurvata is one of the Tatparya lingas. And it is something which is a new teaching. So there is no new teaching here. There's nothing uniqueness. Amongst the Shadlingas, the Upakrama, Upasamhara, Abhyasa, Apurvata, Phala, Arthavada, Upapatti. So there is nothing as a new teaching. This is Jnana Yoga. So Karma Yoga is not the Tatparyam of the Gita, and the Tvam Padartha Lakshyartha of the Sakshi Chaitanya is the essence of the teaching here. So to bring about the highlight of this beautiful chapter, which is Vishwarupa Darshana, the 11th chapter, first verse is actually a summary of the entire first six chapters. And you would understand later that the second shloka is the summary of the 7th to the 10th chapter. Atma Anatma Viveka has been clearly explained here. The Tvam Padartha Vachyartha and the Tvam Pada Lakshyartha Viveka is brought out here. From the 6th to the 12th chapter, the Tat Padartha Vachyartha and the Lakshyartha is brought about. And the 12th to the 18th chapter is a Aikyam of the Tvam Padartha and the Tat Padartha Lakshyartha. And therefore, Bhagavad Gita is a very big commentary on the Mahavakyam. This is the beauty of the first two verses of the 11th chapter based on the Bhashyas. Shankaracharya and Arjuna do not take Karma Yoga as the essence, but it is an Avantara Vishya. The Tatparya Vishya is only the Tvam Padartha Vichara. May I now request Dr. Ashwini Divakar to explain the second verse of this 11th chapter.
Thank you, sir. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The second verse. Bhavapyayau hi bhutanam shrutau vistarasho maya tvattah kamalapatraksha mahatmyamapi cha vyayam. Now this first line of this shloka, that is Bhavapyayau hi bhutanam shrutau vistarasho maya. It is Arjuna summarizing the chapter, like Sir already mentioned, 7, 8, and 9. And these chapters mainly talks about Ishwara Swarupa Pratipadanam or Varnanam, where Ishwara is presented as Jagat, Srishti, Sthiti, and also Laya Karanam. Now the Bhavapyayu means Srishti and Pralayam are both from Bhagavan. I think this is the Bahuvachana, Dvivachana, that is why Bhavapyayo. So this is more from the Vyakarana part that Swamiji explains. So this is because this is two things, that Srishti, also the Pralayam are from Bhagavan. Then the Tvattaha Mahatmyamapi cha Avyayam. Avyayam Mahatmyam. Avyayam Mahatmyam is the Vibhuti. The Vibhuti, of course, we've seen in the 10th chapter, it is summarizing the 10th chapter of the Gita. Avyayam, the one which is inexhaustible. So the Shankaracharya's Bhashyam, Shankaracharya's commentary, and Swami Paramarthanandaji's explanation for that, where he says Bhavaha is Utpattihi. Utpattihi is to originate. Utpattihi is to originate, first thing. Apyayaha is Pralayam. Pralayam is, you can take it as resolution or dissolution, which is basically a merger. Bhutana, which means Bhagavan here parenting the Samasta Prapancha. Bhagavan as a parent to the Samasta Prapancha for Sarva Bhutana. Arjuna addresses Krishna here as Maya Sahita Brahman, which is the Jagat Karanam, as we've already read till now. Maya Sahita Brahman, Maya and Brahman as well, which is the most important part, where we have learnt about the Paraprakriti and Aparaprakriti. So he then goes on to say not only that Srishti and Pralayam, but also Sthiti. Okay, Sthiti also is from because of Bhagavan. So basically, the 7th to 9th chapter we have already seen elaborately talks about the Para Prakriti and Apara Prakriti, where we have already learned that Brahman, and Maya are both responsible for the creation. And not only this, Krishna has only elaborately talked about this to Arjuna. Arjuna has listened to it from Krishna himself. So what Arjuna goes on to say is, he then tells Krishna that, you are the Kamala Patraksha, Kamalasya Patra or Kamala Patram, which is, the Aksha is the eyes. It is more like a lotus petals. He goes on to give attributes to him. And then the Mahatmyani cha Avyayam, the inexhaustible Vibhuti of Bhagavan, which is countless or infinite, that we have learnt in the 10th chapter. So Arjuna, he has heard all these from Bhagavan himself. So to summarize, Arjuna continues to say or to tell Bhagavan that, O Krishna, Verily, the origin and the dissolution of beings, as well as your inexhaustible glory, were heard by me from you in detail. Now, what we have to observe here is the Arjuna's reverence for Lord Krishna, which keeps increasing. So, Arjuna, what he implies in this shloka is, O Sri Krishna, that I have heard from you about the imperishable, majestic glories. Although it is present within all of us, it remains untainted even by the imperfections. So, he is the supreme witness. He is the supreme witness for all our actions and more like a dispenser for the results of, of the results of our actions. And he concludes saying that he is the object, he stays as an object of adoration of all the beings. Thank you, sir. Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ashwini. May I now request Dr. Srinivas Noti to explain the third verse of the same chapter.
Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. The third verse is like this. Evam etadya tatha tvamatmanam parameshwara drashtumicchami te rupamaishwaram purushottama. Let us see the meaning of the first line. The first word is evam etadya tatha. This word can be split into 4 words. Evam etat yatha atta. So, evam etat, that will come later. Yatha atta means, yatha atta means as you have spoken or as you have told me. Yatha means as, atta means as you have told me. Next slide, sir. So, next slide says, Tvam atmanam means you, what you have told about yourself. So, Tvam atmanam means you have, what you have told about yourself. Evam etat. Tvam atmanam yatha atta evam etat. That's the anvayam. Tvam atmanam. What you have told about yourself. Yatha atta. This is what you have told about yourself. Evam etat. Evam etat means as it is. I accept that. It is true. That is not mentioned here. That we have to add. That is called adhyaharam. So Arjuna is telling, I completely accept that it is truth what you have told about yourself, O Parameshwara. I completely accept is adhyaharam. We have to add that. So that's the meaning of the first line. The second line is Drashtum ichhamite rupam aishwaram purushottama. Drashtum ichhami. I wish to see. Ichhami. Drashtum means seeing. Ichhami means I wish to see. Te means your. Rupam aishwaram. Divine form, O Purushottama. Here, so he is telling, so Arjuna, so the Lord Krishna, Bhagavan Krishna has told him about himself as well as all the glories. So we don't have any option. It's not Bhagavan who is teaching us. Of course, we have to revere all our gurus as avatars only. But here Arjuna has an option of asking his teacher to show him the Vishwarupam. Again, the option which Arjuna had. Also, he has mentioned that he has lost his moham, vigato mohaha. He has told that moha has gone in the first verse. So that makes him eligible for this drashtum ichhami. So he becomes eligible to see the Vishwarupam. Again, we should note that he is asking for to see his rupam, whereas he is not asked for tattvam. He is asking for rupa darshanam, but not tattva darshanam. So my Guruji explains that rupa darshanam may not make any change in the one who sees him. So Bhagavan Krishna has given this Vishwarupa darshanam in his life 3 times. This is the last time he is giving. The first time was to Mother Yashoda. When she asked him to show his mouth, did you eat any the arthan mitti? Did you eat that? She asks him. Then he opens his eyes and shows the whole universe. That was the first time he showed Vishwarupa Darshanam in his lifetime. Of course, it is our Purana says by being mother of Krishna, I think they are given mukti. That's a different story. The second time he has given Vishwarupa Darshanam was in the Kaurava Sabha, when Bhagavan Krishna goes as a messenger of peace. Even Dhritarashtra, Dhritarashtra also saw the divine form. He requested Lord Krishna to, he's blind and he cannot see him. Whereas all the rishis were seeing his form there. So Dhritarashtra was given a vision and he saw the divine form of the Lord. But again, he himself requests that I don't want to see the world with these eyes, which I have seen your divine form. And he requests Lord Krishna to withdraw his vision. So even though Dhritarashtra has seen the Rupam of the Vishwarupam of the Lord Krishna, he did not make any change in his antakarana. He again went back to his putra moham. So what the message here is, Rupa Darshanam may not make any change in the attitude. So even Rakshasas got darshan of the Lord. The Lord came and he gave what they asked, he just disappears. So within a second, which is absolutely perfectly shown in our movies. So that is what he does. That is the Tattvam even explained in Puranas and Vedas. So it may not make any change in our antakarana. So as our gift, that our subject has been aptly named, gift Gita for inner freedom and transformation. The transformation is what is important in us, in sadhakas. We might be doing japa, bhakti, all these things. All these things should lead to a change in our inner antakarana. If that does not happen, so even if we keep on doing japas for a long time, so it may not change. So also here, so Arjuna asked for Rupa Darshanam. So that also explains why Arjuna did not reach it is in Mahabharata or at the end of Mahabharata war. Arjuna did not attain Mukti or Moksha. Again, after the war is over, after 36 years of rule, Arjuna again goes to Krishna and he again asks him, Bhagavan, you explained me Gita, but I did not understand fully. And now I have enjoyed the worldly life and everything. And now what exactly I should do? That's the time Lord Krishna taught him Uttara Gita, which is the basis for all modern uh, all modern sadhanas. One of the basis for sadhanas and Kriya Yoga, which is the Uttara Gita is the basis for the modern practicing Kriya Yoga. So he is asked for Rupa Darshanam. So that's about it, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Srinivas Nuti, for a very exhaustive explanation. May I now request Srimati Anjali Shankar to explain the fourth verse of this chapter.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, verse number 11.4. मन्यसे यदि तश्चक्यं मया दृष्टुमिति प्रभो योगेश्वर ततो मे त्वं दर्शयात्मानमव्ययम्. The meaning of this verse is, O Yogeshwara, Lord of all mystic powers, if you think I am strong enough to behold it, then kindly reveal that imperishable cosmic form to me. Here, Arjuna is asking Krishna to grant him mystic powers, the third eye, to see and experience the Vishwarupa. Before discussing this, let's see the experience of few of the devotees who had Ishvara Darshanam. Whether we take the examples of the stories of great devotees like Shabari from Ramayanam, or those who lived here few centuries ago like Mirabai and Tyagaraja, Ishvara Darshanam was a fulfilling experience for them. We always very much emphasize only about the objects of experience, that is, about Sri Rama or Sri Krishna in these stories. But we do not focus on the importance of the preparedness or the beauty of the minds of the devotees like Shabari, who are the subject of experience. Whether it is Ishvara Darshanam or having some food or listening to some music, Any experience involves two things. One is the object of experience, and the other is the experiencer. When Rama gave darshanam to Shabari and other devotees, they enjoyed and thrilled, and they got Ishvara Darshana Ananda. Here, the contributor for that Ananda was not just Rama alone, but it was also the qualities of those devotees who had prepared their minds, the minds which slowly evolved through sadhana. We know that the very same Rama was available for Ravana as well, but nothing happened. Even his mind did not change. Same goes with Kamsa as well, who had the darshanam of Lord Krishna. From these examples, we see that for Vishwa Darshanam to be Ishvara Darshanam, one should go through tremendous mental preparation. And the result of that preparedness is nothing but mental purity. Om Vishwam Vishnur Vashatkaraha. That is how Vishnu Sahasranamam starts. It means the very universe is Ishvara Rupa. Vishwarupa, Ishvara, is already available in front of us. He has come and is standing in front of us always as Vishwarupa. Then what is that which is obstructing me from experiencing this Vishwarupa? Purity of mind is possible only by the reduction of Sad Ripus. They are Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, and Matsarya. These are the blocks obstructing the vision of the already available Lord. Now, in this verse, Arjuna understands that the purity of mind can never be brought out overnight. It is a tedious, time-consuming, gradual transformation which requires a lot of karma yoga and a lot of upasana. So Arjuna asks for a quick fix from Krishna, the third eye or Divya Chakshu. A prepared mind devoid of ahankara and mamakara is called the third eye or Divya Chakshu. Arjuna asks, is there any temporary method by which I will get a pure mind to see a glimpse of Vishwarupa? Arjuna addresses Krishna properly. Hey Yogeshwara. Yogeshwara means the Lord of miraculous powers. With his miraculous powers, Krishna removed the impurities, the obstacles of his mind. Vishwarupa Darshana means the vision of the Lord, whose very form is the universe itself. The key to enjoy it is having a pure mind. Hari Om.
Thank you for your explanation, Srimati Anjali. May I now request Dr. Rajeshwari to present the 5th chapter of this verse.
Good evening, Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. This verse 5 is a curtain raiser, as it were, for the description of the Vishwarupa Darshanam of Sri Krishna. As we have seen earlier, Arjuna requested Krishna to show his Vishwarupam or the cosmic form. So, in reply to that, Sri Krishna shows him that Vishwarupam. The verse is Pashyame Partha Rupani Satasho Atha Sahasrashaha Nana Vidhani Divyani Nana Varna Kritini Cha. So the Anvaya, the actual meaning will be Partha, O Arjuna, Shatasaha, hundreds, Atha, then Sahasrashaha, thousands, Nana Vidhani, of various forms, Divyani, effulgent, divine, Nana Varna Kritini, of various colors, Cha, and will have to come in between. Me Rupani Pashya, you see my various forms. As you can see, Dashavatara also, we can see the various physiques and various shapes of Sri Sriman Narayanan. Next slide, please. So the Lord appears in all glory. When he says hundreds and thousands, we should not take it literally. Actually, the forms are innumerable and supernatural, as Sri Shankara says. How can now Lord's form be infinite? There is only one Krishna there. So actually, it is because the whole universe is a manifestation of the Supreme Brahman, as we have been taught earlier also. And not only of this world, but also all the 14 lokas. The world is a manifestation of the Brahman and Maya, as explained by the previous speakers. So now we have understood that God is in everything. This Vishwarupam teaches us that everything is in God. This is of varied shapes, physics, as explained earlier, and it is obviously an effulgent nature. This form is shown to Arjuna, who was a worthy disciple as well as a friend of Sri Krishna. As the previous speakers explained, Sri Krishna showed his Vishwarupa Darshanam to different people at different times. And anyway, these two are worthy of note, to the mother out of love and to the disciple out of compassion. Next slide, please. Now we need to know, did Krishna transform himself to show this darshan to Arjuna? No, actually, this Vishwarupam is ever existent. Sri Krishna only helped Arjuna to prepare his mind so that he can make the necessary inward adjustments in order to perceive this Rupam. This can be explained by several examples. For example, an observer has to adjust the telescopic settings in order to see some object which is far away from him. Similarly, if you want to appreciate music better, it is good to have a basic knowledge of the musical notes, ragas, and also have a musical ear. And this I thought was very appropriate. When we see a stone, when we have an unprepared mind, we only see the stone. Whereas a sculptor who's of a prepared mind, he can see the form of the vigraha in the stone. And all he has to do is, chip off the residue so that he can make the statue. So that is how the mind has to be prepared. Now we need to know how to prepare this mind. Next slide, please. We understood that God is in everything. This verse showed us everything is in God. How do you prepare your mind? By the grace of God, as well as under the guidance of an appropriate guru. We need to do the Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasanam. And as was told by the previous speakers, from the Ekarupa Bhakti, we have now progressed, or Arjuna has progressed to the Anekarupa Darshanam. However, from this level, we need to go to the next level, which is Arupa Nirguna Ishvara Dhyanam. In other words, realization of the self. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rajeshwari, for a clear explanation.
We have come to the end of today's satsanga, which has enriched our spiritual learning. Grateful thanks to all the speakers and Dr. Ravi Shankar for bringing in a lot of clarity to our understanding. Param Vedanta thanks each one of you for your continued interest in the pursuit of Atma Vidya through our series of sessions and also for your positive feedback. In the 11th chapter, Krishna wants to communicate the idea that if you assimilate the teaching that the Lord alone manifests in the form of the world, a perspective change will take place. The world will then have an extra feature which is non-physical, and that feature is that it is divine. And once I learned to look at the very world as divine, I only see God giving darshana all the time. With this thought, let's close today's session to meet again on coming Friday, the 13th of December, wherein we are beginning a new text, Atma Bodha, which is a Prakarana Grantha by Sri Adi Shankaracharya. We conclude today's session with our usual Shanti mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्